Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Wisdom Wednesday. And it seems like we're really getting stuck, and that's totally fine on this Wellness Wednesday. We're really getting to the work, and so I'm really excited about that. As always, I like to start off with a quote, and today's quote is from Usher Raymond. These are my confessions. You know, Summertime is an interesting time because you get an opportunity to sit and reflect. I know our previous Saturday school, we talked about the celebrating, the reflecting, and the planning. And I decided to take myself up on the offer. And so I've been sitting and reflecting and some personal reflection time, but also including my kiddos. And how funny is it that the tide shift when you're first the educator and then you become the educated or the student? And so during this time of reflection, I've been really having some heart to heart conversations with my biological children and even with my husband about how I show up, how I show up. And you know what? I will share with you all how you show up. I'm finding, and I am not an expert in this field, but I am finding that how I show up, there is a direct correlation to childhood experiences, some past traumas, some challenges, some uh knowledge, skills, abilities. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not gonna be anything else but honest. I'm gonna be brutally honest, especially when I have had the opportunity for reflection. Reflection brings that part out. And so I am literally sitting here just going through all the things like, why do I do what I do? Why do I show up the way I do? Whether again it be in my personal life or my professional life. And I've been having to sit with that. And I want you to take a minute and sit with that. Have you ever really sat and thought about how you show up? Now, there is a difference between how you think you show up and how you actually show up. So I really want you to think about your intentions versus what actually comes out, what is actually received. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And this is not an easy feat at all because sometimes when you are exposed, ooh, yes, exposed, or self aware, if you want a softer blow, you may find things that you really just don't like. Some things may be eye opening, and some things you know yourself and you know that that's really what it is. So as you think on this Wisdom Wednesday and this Wellness Wednesday, and as you're reflecting, because that's what I really, really, really want you to do, I really want you to think about how you're showing up. I'll give you an example. As a child, believe it or not, I wasn't popular. I wasn't in the in crowd. I was often overlooked. My value wasn't seen. My worth wasn't seen. I wasn't celebrated really. I was never in the in crowd, so I wasn't included. And I was thinking about how I felt as a child. Again, we in the reflection period, right? And I'm sharing my confessions. And so I thought about how I felt in those moments. I constantly think about how I felt in those moments. And one of the things that I want to do is make sure that nobody feels that way. Now, sometimes I might go a little overboard in showing up for people the way that I want it to be celebrated, the way that I want it to be treated, the way I want it to be included. And sometimes that's a bit much because you have to realize that everybody doesn't want the same thing, if that makes sense. So, for example, previously in my life as a assistant principal, I had two principals that were very much not into the fanfare of things, but I was. And because I wanted to show them how much I appreciated and valued them by going over the top to show them how I would want to be celebrated. Does that make sense? So, for example, one leader that I served under, I completely filled his office with balloons. Like, I mean, when I tell you balloons, 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 who's to say that he wanted that? I thought that that was a great way to show up and to celebrate him, but that really wasn't what he wanted. But because I would have wanted someone to do that for me, that's how I presented and that's how I showed up. Another example of a leader that I served under, it was their birthday again. And I had a whole week. Actually, let's say this. It was Principal Appreciation Week. That's what it was. I had a whole week of shenanigans planned. And not just like every single day of the week, to the point where my principal was like, it's okay, it's enough. All right, thanks. But because I felt like I had to show up and show out and celebrate the way I would want someone to do for me, I went the extra mile. What am I trying to say here? You got to find a balance. You have got to find a balance of what you would want, but what your people want. It's almost kind of like the love languages for the workplace. Have you all heard of that? There are these 5 love languages that had started out with just your interaction with your families and your relationships, but they have a book called The 5 Love Languages for the Workplace. So I would, before we start taking assessments and all of that, I would ask you to think about 3 questions, okay? And these 3 questions are geared towards how you're showing up. Here are the 3 questions. How, and this is for you to think about for yourself. Before you do anything else, I want you to take a moment and reflect. How do I handle challenges and setbacks? That's the first question. What traumas, what experiences, what are the things that contribute to how you handle challenges and setbacks? Question number 2. How do I respond to feedback and criticism? And why? Right? I want you to add the and why to all of these 3 questions. Because I promise you, if you sit down and think, there are some situations, experiences, maybe things not so far back in the past, and maybe some childhood things that contribute to how these things manifest and how you show up. The last question. How do I empower my team to overcome challenges and setbacks? And then we're going to add and why. So, what am I trying to say? Listen, this is the opportune time for us to really, really sit back and reflect on how we are showing up as leaders and why. And when we get to that self-discovery, I promise you, leading would not seem so difficult because you would have an awareness of what is promoting you or propelling you to react the way you do. And this is not just in the workplace, friends, not just in the workplace. This is also applicable to your personal lives. Well, guys, we have come to another great time together on this Wisdom and Wellness Wednesday. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, now let's be clear, I am not a therapist. I am not by any means a therapist, but a coach and a consultant, absolutely. And so if you want to just have an opportunity to explore, have a chit chat session, strategy session, please activate the digital business card on the screen. And also, you can engage with us on our Calendly link on the screen as well. If you didn't know, now you know we do have 2 packages that are happening now. The It's the Wrap package, where we, again, I made reference to this earlier, celebrate, reflect, and plan, or celebrate, plan, and reflect, or any of those combinations. We are toasting to the triumphs, we're looking at lessons learned, and we're planning for the future. So if you want to thought partner with that, go ahead. Again, that Calendly link, you can sign up for that package. Additionally, if you are still looking for a job and you still need to land the job, consider working with the Culture Academy as it relates to our Land the Job package. And as always, it is the absolute pleasure to be your host on this edition of Wisdom Wednesday. You can follow us and engage with us. Don't just be a spectator, but also a participator on our social media platforms. Those are Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and X. And if I went too fast for you, if you want to rewatch this, go ahead. It's on YouTube. It's posted. Watch the replay. And again, you can interact with us by accessing our QR code for our digital business card. Well, folks, there you have it. Another Wisdom and this time Wellness Wednesday in the books. Until next time, bye.